Welcome back, everyone. A statement was released on Sunday. Today is Tuesday, and it still continues to generate reactions. Well, I'm talking about the statement from the national leader of the APC, that's Senator Bola Tinubu, accusing the Senate President, Bukola Saraki, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, of seeking to pad the budget. Well, the Senate President responded yesterday, and today the Speaker followed suit with his own response, which was much longer than the Senate President. In the response, he defended the 8th Assembly and said he has done more to stabilize the country than the ABC leader. Well, let me show you a part of the 15-paragraph statement, and I quote, he said, "We do not expect Asiwaju Tinubu to dwell on brazen mendacity, much less murder facts and decorum, in his rabid bid to justify his patently clear fascist agenda of controlling all levers of power in Nigeria. Asiwaju Tinubu's nocturnal agenda has no parallel in the history of any democracy, and it is more loathsome when he throws caution to the winds and maligns government officials who are doing a yeoman's job of stabilizing the government of President Muhammadu Buhari, even in spite of political differences." End of quote. Well, he ended by advising the APC national leader to be more circumspect in his use of language. So there you have his response. But what's interesting about these string of statements is the timing. They are coming at a time when we are counting down to the commencement of the 9th Assembly and looking forward to who will emerge leaders. So one might begin to ask, what's the connection here? I mean, what's the position of those vying for these posts? So let's find out together. And joining us from Abuja tonight is a member of the House representing Chikum Kajuru constituency in Kaduna State, of course, and minority whip in the House, Honorable Barde Yakubu. Thank you for joining us on the program. And here in Lagos, we have the media advisor to Honorable Nkiruka Yejocha, who is a contender for the seat of the Speaker in the House, Honorable Eze Chikamnayo. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, my lord.
Well, let's get right into it. Earlier today, your candidate is quoted as saying that Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila should step down for her. And then she, in the same vein, said she respects the party's decision. Don't you think that's contradictory? On one hand, asking Honorable Gbajabiamila to step down, and on the other saying, I respect the party, and we know that the party is supporting Honorable Gbajabiamila.
I don't think she's contradicted herself in any way at all. There is the party as an institution. There is the legislature as an arm of government, another institution. These two institutions have different dynamics, they have different realities, they have different operative mechanisms, and so none of these two arms of government, or rather institutions of government, should be seen to be undermining the other, or should be seen to be interfering with the activities of the other. The party is very important. There can be no democracy without political parties. But then, the party ought not to overreach itself, because the legislature, the National Assembly, is a creation of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and must be allowed in its own dynamics, operating in its own dynamics, must be allowed to evolve into a strong, independent, and evolving institution.
Right. So are you saying she's prepared to go against the APC?
She has not gone against the APC. She's never gone against the APC. She will never go against the APC. Listen very carefully. She is a member of the APC.
But we know the APC is backing Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila.
You can't say that. The APC is backing...
I'm not saying that. The party is saying that. I'm not the one saying that.
There's a lot of misconception about what the APC is saying.
Please educate us.
The APC is saying we want an APC speaker. We want an APC Senate president that will be patriotic, that will be supportive of the agenda of Mr. President. We don't want a leadership that will undermine the agenda of Mr. President. We don't want a leadership that will work at cross purposes from whatever the president has in mind for Nigerians. And in saying that, the party has done the right thing. But you see, the wrong thing there is for anybody to try to say one APC member is more APC than the other. That absolutely is wrong. It's unfair, it's unjust, it's anachronistic, and it is counterproductive, not just for the party but for the nation. Every member of the APC who stood election in the name of APC, who won election in the name of APC, is as APC as the other. There is no person, either in the National Assembly or outside of the National Assembly, that is more APC than the other.
Okay. All right, let's go over to Abuja and speak with Honorable Yakubu. Now, the question is, Honorable Yakubu, if you can hear me, we understand that, of course, the PDP, rather, is a minority at this moment in the 9th Assembly, that is. And some say the PDP has no real power in deciding who emerges Speaker. Do you agree?
Thank you. Let me emphasize here that as a minority party in the National Assembly or House of Reps, we, as a party, we have a say. And I can tell you, whoever is going to emerge as Speaker will have the input of the opposition. And I can tell you, we want to guide the ruling party in their choice of who should be the Speaker. Because I think somebody who is looking at you from outside has the tendency of telling you where your faults are. So we are keenly looking at the ruling party, and I will tell you that with time, when the time for the election comes, the minority party and others, that's the PDP and other parties that have representation in the House of Representatives, will decide what is best for the interests of Nigeria.
Honorable Yakubu, so are you prepared to join forces, for example? Honorable Yakubu, are you prepared to join forces, for example, with Honorable Onyeji-Ocha?
Join forces with her?
Yes, for example.
Oh, anyway, she has to meet us and lobby and tell us what her agenda is for the country. For us in the opposition, we are not against anybody from APC becoming the Speaker. But we have a responsibility to Nigeria to keep the ruling party on its toes. And that's what we are going to do. We are not going to be just cowed into selecting whoever they want, but we are going to be guided based on nationalism, based on who is best fitted for that job, but we can never be cowed. Now, briefly, we are going to choose amongst them, if that be the case, and we are going to make sure that patriotism is paramount in the choice we are going to make.
Right.
Of course,
now there are insinuations that the current Speaker of the House might be vying for speakership. There are insinuations that he might be vying. Do you have anything to say about that?
I think this is just insinuations for now, because he has not called us as a party to tell us that he's interested in being the Speaker. So for me, I think it's just rumors. But if that be the case, of course, we are going to support our own and look for support for the other APC members to come and support our own, because there's nothing bad in anybody vying for that position. It's all about interest, it's all about patriotism, it's all about who is best fit for that position. And that is what we are going to do. Like I emphasize, I've realized along the trend of my membership of the National Assembly for the past 16 years that anybody that is imposed by outsiders or by the party hardly lasts long in Parliament as presiding officer. So I think this is a lesson the party and everybody should know in Nigeria, that the legislature is independent. And we have a duty to Nigerians to choose who we want to lead us and who we want to work with for the best interest of Nigeria. You can see that among all the two past presiding officers, that's Dogara and Tambol, who were not anointed by the party or so-called outsider, they succeeded.
Okay.
There was no rancor in the National Assembly.
Honorable Yakubu, let me just take a moment here.
Everybody is happy.
Honorable Yakubu, let me take a moment here and ask Honorable Chikam Nayo this question. Being the only woman vying for the Speaker of the House of Representatives, at least that we know for now, is she intimidated?
How can she be? She is the most qualified of the lot. Honorable Lady Nkiru Onyeji-Ocha has served as local government chairman. She has been a chairperson of Umunochi local government. She's been a commissioner in Abia State twice. She has been in the National Assembly for a record 12 years and counting. She's in her fourth tenure now. She's the most qualified of the lot. She has governance experience in the executive. She has governance experience in the legislature. She's not coming there just as a woman. She's coming as a competent, patriotic, committed Nigerian. She's more qualified than the lot. And she's not intimidated. She can't be intimidated. But what we're saying is this, and you must know this. Every Nigerian should ask himself, we should be able to consult our conscience. In the Rotary, we say, is it fair to all concerned? Where are Nigerian women when we want votes? We go all out to ask for women to vote. 60% of the votes in the last election were by women. And when it's time to decide the governance structure, the governance infrastructure, the governance skeleton of this country, we exclude the women. Okay. What have they done?
Right.
What have the women of Nigeria done wrong? So it's a question you must be able to ask in this forum. What is the offense of Nigerian women? That you have the president, a man, vice president, a man, senate president, a man, the deputy president, a man, and you come to the speakership of the National Assembly, you still want to force men all through. What is the offense of Nigerian women?
I'm sure that question is not.
It belongs to you. It belongs to every Nigerian.
Well, let's do this briefly. The 8th Assembly was at the receiving end of various allegations like budget padding, for example, and people have said the members are being paid too much, and members of their constituent complain about inefficient representation. Those are some of the issues we'll be looking at when we return from this break. Stay with us. So welcome back to the program, everyone. Let's get back to the conversation now, shall we? Before the break, we were discussing the race to the leadership of the 9th Assembly, and I still have with me in the studio Honorable Eze Chikamnayo. Is the media advisor to Honorable Nkiruka Onyejeocha. That's she's also vying for the seat of Speaker of the House of Representatives. And in Abuja, we have Honorable Yakubu Barde, a member of the PDP. He represents Kajuru constituency in Kaduna. Now, before the break, you brought up the fact that she's a woman and she's not intimidated. But let me take you back to something that has dominated the political scene in Nigeria. And this is for Honorable Yakubu. I'm sure that you saw the statement that was released by the APC's national leader on Sunday. I'm sure you saw that statement. And you were a part of the 8th Assembly. During your dealings, would you say that there was indeed padding? And were you a part of that padding, the allegations of padding?
Thank you very much. When people talk about padding, like I want to follow suit, just like Mr. Speaker said, I think it has to do with the ignorance of the system that we operate in the National Assembly. Now, budgets are proposals which are brought to us, and it is expected that when these proposals are brought to us, we as representatives of the people are supposed to look at them, and all we need to do is to say, okay, we move monies from one project to the other, or if there is need, we include another one which we feel strongly should have been included in the budget. So when people talk about padding, I want to ask, what is padding? Are we just supposed to receive the estimate as they are and pass them, or we don't have any input? So the question continues to linger on that I don't even understand when people say we pad the budget. And let's be realistic in Nigeria. We are representative of the people, and the people elected us to come to the National Assembly to make laws and to make sure also that they reap from the dividend of democracy. And one way they can reap from the dividend of democracy is by budget. When budget is implemented, it touches a lot of people in terms of infrastructure, in terms of education, and many others that you can mention. So if the budget is brought to us, and we look at it and we just strongly feel that there are areas that need to be covered, I think we should be applauded.
Let's now go back to the race for the leadership. Honorable Yakubu, let's go back to the... If you can hear me, Honorable Yakubu, let's now go back to the race for the leadership of the 9th Assembly. And we have a few contenders that have expressed their interest. Some have not expressed at this point where, I mean, we're looking for surprises, definitely. So let's run you through the list. We have Honorable Femi Bajabiamila. We also have Honorable Ndudi Lumelu, you can see that on your screen right there, as well as Honorable Abdurazak Namdas. Honorable Bako Mohammed is also in the running, as well as Honorable Yusuf Buba and Honorable Idris Ahmed Wase. The only woman in contention at this point is Honorable Nkiruka Onyejeocha. And right here we have Honorable Chikamnayo, who's her spokesperson. He's been talking about a surprise. Now let's come back to this. Earlier on, you said there might be a surprise.
That surprise will start with the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a great man. He has made it very clear that in his second tenure, he's going to have an inclusive government. And that's a policy statement coming from Mr. President. I'm going to have an inclusive government. And I believe that Mr. President is a man of honor.
So are you saying the President is
involved? And I'm telling you that Mr. President, having made that policy statement, we all have to cue in
So you're saying the president is actively
You cannot talk about
in choosing who...
Yes, you cannot talk about an inclusive government without talking about the inclusion of women. Mr. President has committed himself by that statement. Mr. President, as a man of honor, is going to keep to his word, and there will be an inclusive government. And you cannot talk about inclusion when you are talking about the exclusion of over 60% of Nigerian voters, which is the women of Nigeria. So Mr. President inadvertently has thrown his support to Honorable Mrs. Nkiruka Onyejocha. She is going to be the human face of the APC. She is going to be like using one stone to kill two birds. She's going to be able to assuage the aspirations of the Southeasterners to be included in government. She's from the Southeast. She's equally going to fill in the place of a woman in governance, in the governance apparatus of this country. It's completely anachronistic for us to ever think that we're going to have the governance infrastructure of Nigeria and the women of Nigeria will not be part of it. What exactly is the offense of Nigerian women? Okay,
once again, I'm not sure I'm the right person to channel that question out. But Honorable Yakubu, how do you respond to this?
Honorable Onyejocha is a woman, a lady that I've known for the past 12 years. And she's a very nice person. I have worked with her. She's a very good legislator. And I think there's nothing wrong in her vying for the position of the speakership. All she needs to do is to work with among us, her colleagues, to convince us that she can do the job. And she could be better than any other person that is being nominated or being insinuated is the anointed member that is being sponsored by the party. And it is important also she should realize that as a member of APC, she has a lot of work to do among her peers. And we, as a party, also will look at their credentials. And like I earlier said, we are going to choose a speaker, or we are going to elect a speaker that will represent the interests of Nigeria. Not the interests of an individual, not the interests of a party, but the interests of Nigeria.
Honorable Yakubu, on a final note, in 30 seconds, Honorable Yakubu, on a final note,
you agree with me?
If you can hear me, Honorable Yakubu, on a final note, I'd like to put this to you. If you can respond in 30 seconds, I'll appreciate it. Now, you're representing Chikum Kajiru Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives. And over time, especially in recent times, we've seen reports of killings in that area. I'd like you to briefly touch on what you're doing in the House to ensure that there's an end to these killings. Briefly.
Yes, last week or so, 10 days ago, I brought a motion on the floor of the House, and it was deliberated on, and the security agencies were given marching order so that they will go and comb the area and make sure they reduce this killing to the barest minimum. And also, NEMA was instructed to make sure that relief materials were brought to the people. But as I speak to you, honestly, I'm disappointed because NEMA has not done anything, even when we moved that motion. And this is what I'm going to follow up. But for the security agencies, I'm aware, the police chief was in Kaduna State, the Air Force Chief of Air Staff has also been up and doing. And we are praying that they succeed in making sure that our people are able to live peacefully in their abode or in their homes as they earlier were.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Yakubu. Final thoughts, Honorable Eze. What should we be expecting?
We should be expecting...
30 seconds.
In 30 seconds, we should be expecting that Honorable Lady Nkiruka Onyejocha will emerge as the next Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives to represent Nigerian women, to give a human face to this government, to ensure that the marginalization that's always being talked about by the Southeast is assuaged. She is a consensus candidate, and she is going to give all of us peace of mind.
Thank you very much. I think that's a great place to put it. I'd like to thank you very much, Honorable Eze Chikamnayo, for joining us on the program, as well as Honorable Yakubu Barde. Thank you for joining us all the way from Abuja. Well, that's our program for tonight. We'd like to appreciate you for joining us. I'm Kayode Okikiolu. Have a great night.